Hello and welcome to your newspaper, Talking Newspapers for Saturday's Express on the 16th of May. This is being recorded on the 18th of May, Monday, and your presenters today are Susan Howie, Richard Tong, Paul Kirby on recording, and myself, Mary Ann Woodman, all of Fleetwood and Cleveley's Lions Clubs. Thank you. My first one is slightly sad, and Dad's tribute to a funny, kind-hearted teen who died from meningitis. A teenager who died in the latest meningitis outbreak has been described as a funny, sociable, kind-hearted soul by his grieving father. Lewis Waters, a sixth form pupil at the Henley College in Oxfordshire, was rushed into intensive care this week. His father, Sean, said words simply can't describe the heartbreak and upset we're going through. He fought hard and was really taken care of by the ICU team, but they just couldn't save him. We are absolutely devastated. He was a funny, sociable, kind-hearted soul. He also loved his sisters, friends and family dearly. Two other pupils from Reading Blue Coat School and another from High Down Secondary School and Sixth Form Centre in Reading were also being treated for meningitis. The UK Health Security Agency said one case had been confirmed as meningitis B. However, it was not the same strain found in the Kent outbreak which killed 2 in March. The link between the 3 people in this latest case has yet to be officially confirmed. Meningitis affects the protective membrane surrounding the brain and spinal cord and can quickly cause life-threatening sepsis. Around 300 to 400 cases of meningococcal disease are diagnosed in England every year. Outbreaks can occur in communities where people are mixing closely, including schools, universities and parties. Dr Rachel Merkel, consultant in health protection with the UKHSA, said, "We are working closely with partners and have provided public health advice and precautionary antibiotic treatment to close contacts of the cases. Meningococcal disease does not spread easily and the risk to the wider public remains low." Dr Eliza Gill, a clinical lecturer at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, said the Reading outbreak appeared to be a small cluster of cases. She added, "Small outbreaks of this scale are unfortunately something we see routinely with meningococcal meningitis." A statement from the Henley College said, "We are supporting those affected within our college community and are following the advice and guidance given by the UK Health Security Agency." On a brighter note, glittering smile for Strictly's new host. No wonder Emma Willis looks pleased with herself, if the rumours are true. She's soon to be named the new host of Strictly Come Dancing. The former Big Brother presenter, 50, left the London TV studio in high spirits yesterday, flashing a smile as she headed to her car. The BBC has not yet confirmed her appointment, but a source said she nailed the chemistry test and is expected to be announced soon. It is not known who will be her co-host for the next series, although Strictly Pro dancer Johannes Radevik, 39, is one of the front runners. Months of auditions followed the departure of former hosts Tess Straley and Claudia Wilkelman at the end of last year. Zoe Ball joked she had worked through the 7 stages of grief after failing to land the job, and Fleur East, who presently Strictly It Takes Two, was also not offered the role, admitting she was kind of bothered. Emma hosts Cooking with the Stars on ITV with Tom Allen, as well as Netflix's Love is Blind alongside her husband, Busted star Matt. Cop a load of this and take away delivery service after arrest. This is the moment police officers delivered a takeaway meal after arresting the driver. Caroline Radford, 37, heard blaring sirens and thought something serious had happened on her street. She'd ordered from her local chicken inn and was waiting for the delivery in Accrington Lancs. But officers had arrested the driver for having no insurance. Doorbell footage captured the moment the police vehicle arrived outside Caroline's house with an officer clutching her fried chicken order. Caroline said, "Not long after I ordered the food, I heard sirens getting closer, which is unusual for the area we live in. I saw the police flying up the road with blues and twos, pulling up in front of my partner's van. They jumped out the car so quickly I thought there was a police chase. I went to the bathroom window to see better, and they grabbed bags out of the back of the car. I said to my partner, 'They've got our takeaway.' The officers then hurried to her front door and handed over the order, ensuring her fried chicken arrived hot despite the unexpected drama. Well done, policeman. My next one is Farage. I'm a celeb fee paid for pad, not 5 million gift. Nigel Farage bought a 1.4 million property with money he received for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, said Reform UK yesterday. The party's statement followed a report by Sky News that Mr Farage paid for the house in 2024 shortly after receiving a 5 million personal gift from crypto billionaire donor Christopher Harborne. Records show the purchase was completed in May last year. Weeks before Mr Farage decided to stand in the general election, the broadcaster said. A Reform UK spokesman said the house was paid for using his fee for taking part in ITV's I'm a Celebrity in November 2023. Reports at the time suggested he was paid 1.5 million. The spokesman said the chronology is straightforward. The offer and purchase process commenced before the gift. Writing on social media platform X, Mr Farage said this is fake news by the establishment media who will do anything to hurt reform as we challenge their cosy consensus. He is facing a probe by the Commons sleaze watchdog after the undeclared gift. In an interview with The Sun, he said it was given on a completely unconditional basis, added, frankly, it was given as a reward for campaigning for Brexit for 27 years. When it was suggested the money may have influenced his decision to return to public life, Mr Farage said, I can't be bought by anybody, not even Elon Musk. Musk wanted to give us a load of money if I said certain things publicly and I refuse. I didn't do it, so I made an enemy of Elon Musk. But that shows you I am my own man. I make my own mind up. Mr Musk responded on X, Farage is lying. He did not elaborate. And now I hand you over to Sue.
Thank you. That was a hot one. And we're now getting into something else hot. British Gas to pay £90 million for forced meters scandal. British Gas is to pay out £90 million after it sent debt collectors to break into homes and force-fit prepayment meters without customers' consent. Ministers warn compensation must be handed over swiftly and condemn what they described as an unacceptable national scandal. Regulator Ofgem ordered the energy giant to provide £20 million directly and to write off debt of £70 million after it found British Gas failed to protect vulnerable customers by forcibly fitting the energy meters. Compensation will go to customers who were affected in 2018 to 2021, on top of payments already made to those affected 2022-2023. Those who are due money will be contacted by British Gas and do not need to take action. Ofgem, which launched an investigation and changed the rules after the industry-wide practice was exposed, said its probe had been one of its most complex. Tim Jarvis, the watchdog's chief executive, said British Gas fell short in its treatment of an unacceptable number of vulnerable customers who had a prepayment meter installed without consent, and it is right they have taken action to put things right. Because of our action, customers will receive a substantial package of redress, compensation and debt write-off. British Gas apologised and asserted it has not been force-fitting the meters since February 2023, when the issue was first exposed. Chris O'Shea, Group Chief Executive of British Gas owner Centrica, said, what happened should never have happened, and I'm sorry to the prepayment customers who were affected. When we get things wrong, we make them right. When these issues came to light in 2023, we apologised, stopped the activity immediately and took rapid action to improve our processes and change how we engage with customers in debt, particularly those who were in vulnerable situations. Some 40,000 customers who had a prepayment meter installed without their permission between 2022 and 2023 are already receiving the compensation from suppliers such as EDF, Clough, E.ON and Scottish Power. The scandal first made headlines 3 years ago at the peak of the cost of living crisis, when it came to light that energy suppliers were entering people's homes to switch them on to prepayment methods. The practice was subsequently paused after a public outcry, and Ofgem launched a review. Last year, it emerged magistrates were approving batches of warrants for utility companies to break into people's homes, including for the fitting of prepayment meters. Martin McCluskey, the Minister for Energy Consumers, said, "Consumers deserve an energy market they can trust. That trust was broken for too many families affected by the forced installations of meters, which was an unacceptable national scandal." It's good to see Ofgem standing up for people and British Gas taking responsibility to put them right. They must make sure victims see every penny they are owed. Our reforms will help make sure injustices like these never happen again, insensitising companies to act in customers' best interest and empowering Ofgem as a true consumer champion. Now then, this is interesting. Having cold showers can help boost weight loss. Taking cold showers or wearing a cooling vest can boost fat burning and weight loss by lowering body temperature, as a study has suggested. The cold is thought to activate brown fat, which acts like an internal heater, burning calories for warmth. Experts are now looking at whether similar weight loss can be achieved by taking cold showers every day. Researcher Professor Helen Budge of Nottingham University said mild cold exposure wearing a cooling vest for a couple of hours each morning was found to lead to weight loss. This study is important because it has shown a reduction in fat mass. It's really exciting. Daily cold exposure activates brown fat, which uses body fat stores to produce heat. The aim of the study is to add to the lifestyle choices people have to help prevent heart disease. Cold water therapy has become a mainstream wellness trend, as it is believed to increase mental clarity in addition to having fat-burning and anti-inflammatory benefits. The study findings were presented at the European Congress on Obesity in Istanbul. In the trial, half of a group of 47 overweight people were asked to wear an ice vest for 2 hours every morning. After 6 weeks, wearers lost an average of 2 pounds. Those in the control group gained an average of 1.3 pounds. And on a lighter note, Stone Age stars are still rocking and rolling. I'm oddly personally proud that one of the biggest bands of my youth, the Rolling Stones, is still going strong 60-odd years after they first strutted onto the world stage. Incredibly, the Stones have just released a new single. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are both 82. Ronnie Wood is a relative youngster at 78. The track In the Stars is fantastic. Have you heard it yet? The guitar opening riff is vintage rock and roll, and Jagger sounds about 20. As Ronnie says, we boomers still boom. My last one on this one is another nice one. I was 11 when Donald Campbell died at the controls of Bluebird. Not that my parents and I could see its beautiful blue sheen as we watched. In horror, those flickering black and white images on our little screen of Campbell's last desperate moments, his jet boat flapping at 300 miles an hour on Coniston Water, his last words crackling over the radio link. I've got the bows out, I'm going, ah! His body was left in the wreckage and in the depths for years. I wasn't sure about the salvage operation that happened more than 30 years later. It seemed intrusive, ghoulish, unnecessary. But this week I changed my mind. Watching the beautifully restored Bluebird take to the waters at Coniston for the first time since that awful day, I was moved. Campbell himself, lying at peace nearby in the local cemetery, would surely have approved. His daughter Gina certainly does, describing Bluebird's return as fantastic and calling the lonely lake my spiritual home. So it's all right with her, it should be all right with us. And I'll pass you over now to Richard.
Thanks, Sue. So my first item, families flocking to Amandaland. Sitcom hailed for helping gentrify gritty neighbourhood. People in Harlesden say they are benefiting from the Amandaland effect, with the area becoming posher since the BBC sitcom aired. The Motherland spin-off follows Lucy Punch's plummy character as she makes a post-divorce move from leafy Chiswick to the northwest London postcode. Main character Amanda described the area as gritty and a downgrade from her former home, but she tries to make it become trendy by renaming it Soha, a play on Soho, for fictional South Harlesden. And residents say the show has played a part in the area being on the up. Clovis Stevenson, 55, a landlord, said, "This is an up-and-coming area, so it has put it on the map. Everybody is going to know it now. It is a good representation. We do have some really big houses here. Some properties are going for millions. It is rising. This is going to be an amazing area." It's a bit like Brixton. That used to be bad, but now it is very popular. The BAFTA-winning comedy show, now in its second series, highlights the battle between gentrification and long-standing local culture, with Amanda pushing the narrative that the area is starting to climb up. And the sitcom suggests young professionals are making a move similar to hers. Estate agents in Harlesden say this is actually happening, with buyers getting better value for money as property prices remain sky high in more select postcodes. House values in Harlesden are £487,940 on average over the past year, according to online seller Rightmove. Brandon Ramlal, 22, a property consultant, said, "Friends of mine have been saying, Soha, the show was funny. I'm glad they are not ripping Harlesden apart. There has always been a great community here. There are more younger buyers and families are buying as they get more for the money." The series was actually shot in Islington and Muswell Hill, with social media users saying the streets were decorated with litter and discarded trolleys to make it look more downtrodden. And Gerald Galahad, 87, who has lived in the Harlesden area for 32 years, says it still feels neglected, adding, "It's run down because the council don't do anything. Roads are falling apart." But Wayne Corriette, 50, a chicken and waffle salesman, said, "Amandaland is really good. I watched it with my mum. When you open the internet and look at Harlesden, there is negativity, but the show gives a different perspective." Our next item, superstar who has managed to amass a super fortune. Being named Britain's first billionaire sports star by the Sunday Times Rich List is a staggering feat, with David and Victoria's fortune more than doubling in the past year. Bex has certainly come a long way from May the 2nd, 1975, when he was born in Whipps Cross University Hospital in Leytonstone, East London, to Dad Ted, a kitchen fitter and heating engineer, and hairdresser mum Sandra. When their football-mad son joined the Man United Academy in July 1991, aged 16, he was on £29.50 a week. Since then, thanks to his stellar success on the pitch and string of commercial deals off it, he has become one of the world's wealthiest footballers, a global superstar who transcended his sport. Meeting and marrying posh Spice Victoria cemented their place as celebrity royalty. They now have a near £1.2 billion joint fortune and have certainly spent it like Beckham. They have a 100-foot yacht and a string of lavish homes, including a 9-bed, £60 million pad in an exclusive enclave in Miami. And it is Sir David's link to Miami that is the key to the colossal rise in the couple's estimated wealth in the past year. In 2014, he bought a new major soccer league franchise for a reported £16 million. Forbes now values Inter Miami at £900 million. And the Sunday Times estimates Sir David's stake in the club at £300 million. On top of that is property around the stadium, in which Beckham's stake has been put at £400 million. It forms only a part of Sir David's business empire. His string of deals include Adidas, Hague Whisky, Boss and Stella Artois. He also made a fortune from their deal with streaming giant Netflix. Next item. What's your tipple? Why not make it a Chardonnay day this weekend? For such a popular and successful wine, it's surprising how Marmite Chardonnay can be. The grape thrives in pretty much every wine region in the world and remains comfortably the second most planted white variety and fifth overall. But if I had £1 for every time someone told me they didn't get on with its over-oaked, buttered styles, I'd have a few quid to buy a bottle of something else. Brand-wise, the arrival of a character called Chardonnay in ITV's iconic noughties drama Footballers' Wives didn't exactly add to the allure. Ironically, Chardonnay is a fairly neutral grape that flourishes in a wide range of climates and soils, taking on local characteristics. It originated in Burgundy, but it's equally at home in Chile, South Africa and Australia. Accordingly, producers have shifted towards elegant, high-acid and restrained oak wines, moving from the heavily buttered, over-oak styles that seem to trigger some drinkers. Although its popularity means a lot of fairly ordinary plonk is produced volume-wise, some of the world's priciest wines are made from Chardonnay, and the right one will knock your socks off. So give it a go. You might be pleasantly surprised. It's International Chardonnay Day on Thursday. The perfect opportunity to raise a glass if you're a fan, or give it another try if you're not. And my last item for this section. Meanwhile, over at M&S Food, Marks & Spencer's is set to announce a crucial update on its foray into the grocery market. Food sales account for more than half of the retailer's revenues, and its recent warehouse expansions suggest the retailer is hungry for a slice of the UK's supermarket pie. The company will announce its full year results on Wednesday and hopes food expansion will help it build after a high-profile cyber attack. The firm recently splashed out £66 million on a new warehouse and started building a £340 million food distribution centre. M&S Food is muscling in on rival Waitrose, but remains leagues behind sector giants Tesco and Sainsbury's. And now I'll hand you back to Mary-Ann.
Thank you very much, Richard. First one is warm words but little to show for China visit. Trump blames Biden's for the declining nation claim. Donald Trump described his visit to China as great, and Xi Jinping called it a milestone that led to progress in stabilising relations. However, beyond their warm words, there was little concrete evidence of any major breakthroughs. And the love-in was rocked after President Xi Jinping suggested America is a declining nation. Mr. Trump acted quickly to deflect the blame, pointing the finger at Joe Biden for his country's woes as he ended his unforgettable state visit. The US President accepted his counterpart's assessment, but insisted it was a reference to the country under his Democrat predecessor. On that score, he was 100% correct. He wrote on social media. Our country suffered immeasurably with open borders, high taxes, transgender for everybody, men in women's sports, DEI, horrible trade deals, rampant crime, and so much more. He added 2 years ago, we were in fact a nation in decline. On that, I fully agree with President Xi. But now the United States is the hottest nation anywhere in the world, and hopefully our relationship with China will be stronger and better than ever before. Beijing regularly insists that the East is rising while the West is in decline, with fears that China's rapid growth means the two powers will inevitably clash. President Xi warned Mr. Trump during private talks that differences on Taiwan, if mishandled, could push the nations towards conflict. But as he made his way home, Mr. Trump said he was not concerned that the US-China relationship was any danger. I think we will be fine, he said. Both leaders said the trip led to progress, and during a series of meetings and events, they discussed divisive issues such as Iran war, trade technology and Taiwan. But China continues to show little public interest in getting more involved in helping to resolve the issues in the Middle East. Threats of each side imposing steep tariffs also still loom. President Xi welcomed Mr. Trump at his official residence at Shonnanhai yesterday for their final engagement. before the US leader left for Washington. Over tea and lunch, the pair huddled for nearly 3 hours of talks and took a short walk in the grounds. Mr. Trump seemed impressed, remarking the roses were the most beautiful he had ever seen. President Xi promised to send him seeds. On Iran, the leaders agreed the critical Strait of Hormuz must be reopened to support global energy demands. Mr. Trump said his rival had reiterated China's strong opposition to Taiwan's independence. I heard him out, he said, adding he had not made a decision on whether to move forward with the massive weapons package for Taipei agreed by Congress. I will make a determination, Mr. Trump said, of the arms shipment which Beijing opposes. And now we go on to not ready to begin my descent. Well, I did everything I could think of to stop it happening. Incantations, spells with fragrant herbs, tossed into a candle flame, even self-hypnosis. But of course it arrived dead on cue. On Wednesday I turned 70. It's not that I'm in denial about that, I just didn't want it to happen, still less celebrate. For once I felt a certain alignment with Ebenezer Scrooge's caustic comments on his irrepressibly optimistic nephew about Christmas, though it could equally have been about birthdays. Bah! A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer, a time for balancing your books and having every item in them presented dead against you, out upon Merry Christmas, and so on. Of course, I'm not serious, but when a good friend asked me why I just wanted my 70th birthday to pass as quickly as our spinning planet will allow, I suddenly realised the truth. It's like being on a plane. On previous big birthdays, you can comfort yourself that you're only halfway through the flight. At 40, even 50, with luck and a following wind, plenty of flying time left. Another G&T and more peanuts, steward. Think I'll watch another film. But 70, looking out of your window seat, you can just begin to discern a dim glow on the horizon ahead. It's not the rising sun, it's the landing lights at your destination. You've started your descent. It could be a bumpy one. And of course, you're increasingly beginning to lose friends of a similar age. Continuing the analogy, it's as though you've been flying in cosy formation for years. But now, one by one, your companions start to peel away and drop down. So the squadron nervously closes up and everyone crosses their fingers. They won't be next to run out of juice. Hey-ho, it's just a fit of the birthday blues. I'll be myself again this time next week. In fact, I may take a leaf out of theatre legend Sir Trevor Nunn's personal playbook. Since hitting 70, he counts backwards on his birthday. So by that reckoning, he's in his mid-50s now. What's more, he looks it. So please wish me a happy 69th. And now to end up on a sweet note of nice to meet Zoo first, capybara born in 18 years. The cute capybara is just days old but is already gaining fans. It's the species first born at Edinburgh Zoo for 18 years. The pup was born to parents Luna and Rodney and weighs about 2.5 kilograms. Its gender is unknown, but keepers expect to find out at its first health check. They're keeping a close eye on the pup as they are vulnerable during their first few weeks. And in the coming weeks and months, staff expect to see the pup become more independent and begin to learn social behaviours from the rest of the herd, including barks and chirps. Animal keeper Johnny Appleyard said, "We are so proud of Luna and Rodney. They're already doing an incredible job of looking after their new baby. They are such a beautiful species and the babies are especially adorable." I'll hand you now over to Sue.
I can't get anything as light-hearted as that. A survivor of the Southport attack has said she's devastated after it emerged hospital workers had inappropriately accessed the medical records of victims. Leanne Lucas, who was the instructor at the Taylor Swift themed dance workshop targeted in 2024, said staff have abused their position. 3 girls were murdered by Axel Rudicabana at the Heart Space, while 10 others were injured. Some of those injured were treated at University Hospitals of Liverpool Group. An information access audit carried out by the Trust showed 48 staff accessed the records of the victims without good reason. This information was not given to the patients involved until this week. Leanne has waived her right to anonymity. She said, "I'm absolutely devastated and horrified that my privacy has been invaded when I was at my most vulnerable. Nothing will take away my gratitude to the staff who saved my life. But 48 people not involved in my care abused their position of trust to access the files of victims who suffered unspeakable trauma. The decision to keep this from me for almost 2 years is a new low. I'm speaking out as I want this scandal and the attempted cover-up by senior management exposed." Nicola Brooke, a lawyer representing 3 survivors, including Leanne, at the Southport inquiry, said, "This is more than a few bad apples." Trust Chief James Sumner said he had made the decision not to inform the patients involved after taking into consideration the potential psychological impact it may have upon them at the time. I'll go a little bit lighter now. Jules Holland reunites with Squeeze on tomorrow's Later with Jules Holland for the first time since 1990. They play Squeeze's 1978 debut single, Take Me I'm Yours, and Jules charts to the band's songwriters and guitarist Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook. Jules, then 15, formed Squeeze in 1974 with Glenn and Chris. He left in 1980 but returned in 1985 for a 5-year stint. Among Squeeze's numerous hits are Up the Junction, Cool for Cats and Label with Love. Jules tells Chris people have asked him if he's going back to Squeeze, but says just because of circumstances, really, it never worked out. There were even offers in America. There was a TV show that tried to get us together, but one thing or another hasn't worked out. We made great music together and I'm very proud to be part of it. Squeeze speak to Jules about Trixie's, their first album of new music in 8 years. It's a collection of stories set in a fictional nightclub called Trixie's, written by Chris at 19 and Glenn at 16. Jules said, "I love hearing all these songs because, I mean, you have a catalogue of extraordinary songs. Everybody's covered your songs." Jules also welcomes X1 Direction singer Niall Horan, making his debut on the show to perform tracks from his forthcoming album Dinner Party. And my last one on this section is Monty Don says he resents the Chelsea Flower Show because he hates being pulled away from his own treasured garden as spring turns into summer. The Gardener's World host has mixed feelings about his TV duties at the prestigious event as he is taken away from Longmeadow at a critical moment. Monty, 70, revealed that the changing of the seasons, particularly spring turning into summer, has such a profound effect on him that he used to cry over it and now has to hold back tears. The horticulturalist's world spins around his 2-acre garden Longmeadow in Herefordshire, which is frequently the setting of Gardener's World on BBC Two. He explained that missing the transition of spring into summer because of his obligations at Chelsea make him experience a complicated mess of emotion. The 2026 RHS Chelsea Flower Show begins next week. Writing in BBC Gardener's World magazine, Monty explained, "I was sent away to boarding school when I was 7. I left home at the beginning of April, and when I came back 4 weeks later, I promptly burst into tears. To my dismay, summer arrived without me. I remember the feeling exactly. There was an overwhelming sense of being left out of something profoundly important. Yes, the seasons had shifted at school, but that didn't count. Home was the epicentre of my world and where the seasons truly existed. The view of the world has never really left me. I still have a moment or two like that every year in the garden, although no, I do my best to restrain the tears." Monty added that there are significant watershed moments in the garden and change can happen almost overnight. He said, "I'm dwelling on this because it always happens at Longmeadow, sometime towards the end of May, usually coinciding with Chelsea. I go to Chelsea on a Sunday morning in May, come back a week later, and the place has completely rearranged itself in my absence. It's a horticultural musical chairs. Everything that was is no more, and everything that wasn't suddenly and vibrantly is. Spring has toppled into summer, and I was not there to see it. The world changed and forgot to let me know. Boarding school has been replaced by a flower show on the banks of the Thames. The result is a complicated mess of emotion. It's as though the garden, this thing that is so personal and so umbilically bound to me, has taken wings and soared into new territory and left me behind. There's almost a sense of betrayal alongside the obvious delight in this beginning. I partly blame Chelsea again. It's complicated. I do not want to miss out on the greatest garden extravaganza of the year, and am delighted and privileged to present the programmes from there. The first few weeks of June at Longmeadow are the absolute highlight of the flowering year. Nevertheless, this is tinged with the bittersweet memory of the little boy sobbing because he was not there to welcome summer and not there to say farewell to spring for another year. Oh, I'll pass you now over to Richard.
Thanks, Sue. My first item, Gen 2 March for Freedom. Campaigners have insisted they will have 14 penguins at the centre of every conversation during crunch 2-day talks with the aquarium, keeping them captive. Born Free and Freedom for Animals will join other experts for a meeting to discuss Sea Life London Aquarium's Gen 2s, which are kept in a basement without fresh air or daylight. The attraction's owner, Merlin Entertainments, has committed to sharing the plan for the animals' futures by the end of this month. Supporters wore penguin suits and paraded outside the South Bank facility with placards demanding bosses free the 14 ahead of the discussions. Dr. Mark Jones, Born Free's head of policy, said, "While we continue to be concerned for the 14 penguins that remain at Sea Life London Aquarium, we are encouraged by ongoing and believe genuine dialogue with Sea Life and its parent company Merlin Entertainments, and remain dedicated to finding a solution for the penguins that will improve the quality of their lives going forward, including the possibility that they will be moved to a different location." The talks follow the death of Ratchet, the oldest in the colony, who passed away earlier this month, aged 31. He was moved to the aquarium in 2017, meaning he spent the last 9 years of his life without fresh air or daylight. Laura Walton, co-director at Freedom for Animals, said, "We are deeply saddened by the death of Ratchet, one of the Gen 2 penguins held at Sea Life London. His death strengthens the urgency of the campaign to secure a better future for the remaining penguins, who have spent years confined indoors without natural sunlight, fresh air, or the ability to express natural behaviours. Penguins are intelligent wild animals, not attractions." Alongside Born Free and PETA UK, we are in continued discussions with Merlin Entertainments regarding the future of the remaining penguins, with their rights at the centre of every conversation. Our position remains clear. Merlin must end the keeping and breeding of penguins and commit to rehoming the remaining individuals to a more suitable environment. The talks about the animals follow a more than 2-year high-profile campaign led by the Daily Express, Freedom for Animals and Born Free. More than 50,000 members of the public, MPs and celebrities have backed our calls. A Merlin Entertainment spokeswoman said, "We're in intensive science-backed discussions with the independent experts to determine best next steps, and all agree that no change is not an option. We're on track to share the plan by the end of May, and are looking forward to conversations next week to shape this." My next item, blood test hope for men with prostate cancer. A blood test could help pinpoint if prostate cancer treatment is failing at an earlier stage, a trial found. The discovery could lead to personalised treatments for the disease, as well as helping patients with advanced cancer to live longer. The study, led by University College London, explored if tests looking at tiny fragments of tumour DNA in the blood could determine if the cancer was still growing. It included 117 men across 14 NHS sites with newly diagnosed metastatic prostate cancer, meaning it had spread elsewhere in the body. Researchers found 3 in 10 men had detectable levels of tumour DNA in their blood after 6 to 12 weeks of treatment. When combined, blood tests that looked at tumour DNA and prostate-specific antigen PSA levels identified men who were 20 times more likely to die compared with those with undetectable tumour DNA and low PSA levels. Professor Gerhard Attard, who led the study, said, "This is so exciting because it's the first time we've ever seen such a clear link between tumour DNA in the blood and outcomes for men with hormone-sensitive advanced cancer. By using it alongside PSA blood tests, we can personalise treatments and help find the right balance between reducing side effects and giving men more time with their loved ones. The next step is to show that we can reproduce this and how it can be used in practice. That's why we're implementing it across all our clinical trials for advanced prostate cancer to get the evidence we need to roll this out as soon as possible." Dr. Hayley Luxton, Head of Research, Impact and Engagement at Prostate Cancer UK, which funded the study with Movember Moustache fundraiser, said, "Thousands of men are diagnosed with advanced incurable prostate cancer every year, and right now we can't say which treatment will be best for which man until much later on. By showing if treatments are effective so much sooner, this test could not only help men with advanced prostate cancer live longer and better, but could also massively speed up prostate cancer research in the future." My next item. Middlesbrough have called on the EFL to kick Southampton out of the Championship playoff final. Saints have been charged with spying on Middlesbrough's training session ahead of last Saturday's semi-final first leg at the Riverside, which ended goalless. The South Coast club won the second leg 2-1 after extra time. If an independent commission finds them guilty of breaking EFL rules, one of the punishments could be expulsion from the playoff final, while a heavy fine and points deduction are also possible sanctions. Borough want their Championship rivals booted out, and while they stop short of suggesting that they should take the place of boss Ton de Reckert and his side, they did reveal their frustrations at not being allowed to be part of the hearing. The club regrets that outcome, given we are directly affected by the matters under consideration, and hold relevant factual evidence as to the events in question and their competitive impact, a statement from the club read. In these circumstances, the only appropriate response is a sporting sanction which would prevent Southampton FC from participating in the EFL Championship playoff final. The next item. I know we're all supposed to think that the human brain is a miracle of evolution, but let's face it, sometimes it's about as reliable as a 1970s Austin Allegro or Vauxhall Viva. And don't get me started on the Morris Marina. Well, you can't, it wouldn't start. This week it was revealed why we can't find things that are staring us in the face, such as missing car keys. Fine, we shouldn't have left them in the fruit bowl. But there they are, on top of the bananas, not hidden underneath. So why can't we see them? Bristol University has nailed the answer. It's something called inattentional blindness. A research team discovered that even when something is directly in front of us, the brain sometimes stubbornly refuses to see it. Why? Because if, as in my fruit bowl analogy above, the object is in an unexpected place, however visible, the brain can't accept what the eyes are telling it. It just blanks the image out, which is pretty stupid for an organ that can understand quantum mechanics and string theory. Apparently, it's not the same when we see a familiar person in a strange setting, though. We have no trouble there. We just give them a brainwave. And my last item, a report says that more than 50% of students are skipping lectures. It explains a lot. That said, when you're missing lectures on underwater basket weaving, yep, it's a degree, baking technology management, and David Beckham studies, I'm guessing it's not really a huge educational disaster. Well, we are now approaching the end of the recording for Weekend Papers for this month. We hope that you have found these stories interesting. So from all of us here in the studio, goodbye until next time.